Hey guys, it's Mistress Nightmare here, and today we'll be reading a brand new Eyeless Jack's love story. And this one is going to be known as I'll Fix Your Eyes, Eyeless Jack X Ellie. Before we get started, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe to this channel if you guys want more creepypasta fanfictions out there. Until then, let's get started. The sky above is rippled with clouds as rain is pouring on the area. Thunder streaks from a few miles away or ahead of a sign of what to come. The forest is dark at the time it hits, about 7:30. A few cars passes along the road in the middle of a desolated forest land, which means less people coming through. To the one-eyed eyeing the road from the trees, he's a bit annoyed by this. Sitting on a large branch, his hands resting in his hoodie's pocket, his mask noticeably keeping his face up, showing his identity. Soulless black eyes watch the streets intensely, looking for maybe a jogger to pass by that he can nab. His gray skin matching the clouds, and his auburn locks flowed in the wind, painting him as a mysterious figure. His brow furrows, still no activity. How can this place be so empty? Why did I choose to attack here? This town is just down the road. Sure, it's not a big town, but maybe someone's gotta come by. Or come this way, he groaned, leaning back against the body of the tree. Small ripples began to fall. He sighed, maybe my luck finally washed up. Standing up, hopping down from his hiding spot and lowering his mask, remained hidden once again. Stretching and popping his back and his legs as he headed off to the left, still watching the lonely streets. If he needed, he'll head into town later tonight, but right now he's trying to find someone in place so they wouldn't be heard. The rain was getting harder, so he pulled up his hood and put his hands in his pocket. He didn't want to get cold, as much as he didn't want to have slippery hands when he finds someone. A car engine could be heard from the distance. He stopped in his tracks and took a look. Can luck be on his side now? The car in question pulled up the street from the left as lights flashes protruding through the passenger side as the lights shined into the forest. They seemed to be searching for something. The light landed on Jack as he darted behind the tree, peeking out, noticing that they stopped. The one holding the light was an older woman, he thinks. It looks like he was trying to find him again. He can hear dialogue between her and the driver as he snuck to a tree that was closer so he can hear them correctly, what they were saying. Was that her? A mysterious man's voice said. Jack was guessing it was the driver. The woman shook her head. I don't think so. I thought I saw something, but I doubt it was her, she replied, looking back at the man. Jack furrowed his brows and listened, confused. On who were they talking about? A girl? Maybe their grandparents? Searching for their lost granddaughter? He kill. For Jack. He watched, in hope as that they will come out of the car. But to his dismay, they began driving again, slowly continuing their search. He sighed in defeat and stands and turns around, walking back the way he was going. This time he walked along the street, stopping to hitchhiker mode. At least if I'm a hitchhiker, someone will pick me up, he thinks, looking around the clouded abyss of the sky, still confused on the person those two were talking about. And Jack doesn't think it would much of it. He will probably find whoever she is eventually. If it is the granddaughter, they couldn't gotten that far. The older woman looked like she was in her 50s, so she can't be much older than a teen. Hearing a car coming, he looks back to get the owner to stop. Ignored. Fuck it. He turns back in towards the woods. Then he stopped and looked back at the distance as he was hearing. Just a few feet away from the road, in a ditch, in which smoke was darting up from. He was curious. His curiosity pulled him towards it. He loomed over and peeked in. A car wreck, slimming against the tree. An accident, maybe? This caused the rain. It might look like it was a freshly hit. Jack's a little surprised that he didn't hear it. Seeing no one from his angle, he goes and walks away. Then he hears a small cry. Help! He cocked his eyebrow and looked around. Help, please! Listening to where it was coming from the mile side into the ditch, and walked towards the driver's side door. He peers in to see someone still breathing, but he knows there's blood on the right arm. He looked closer and slowly turned towards him. Her pain in her eyes, a girl, maybe a little younger, but she was still sitting in the seat, a cut on her forearm and blood trickling down her cheeks. She sees him. She looks hopeful with her eyes, waiting as she was going to speak again. Please, help me. Jack didn't know what to do, but in the moment their eyes met, something in his chest sparked, and his mouth gaped as he immediately speechless, blinking out of his state, the mask luckily hiding in his face. He hears her and grabs the door handle. He pulls it and he grunts as he pushed it far enough that he can easily grab her. Reaching in and unbuckling her, he pulls her out. He carried her out of the ditch, holding her in extremely close. Her black hair was short in a pixie cut, and her soft brown eyes, dressed in pants and a dark black shirt, and a gray hoodie that covered in smoke, debris, and dirt. He stared in awe, but remembered the circumstances right now. Thank you, she muttered before going unconscious. He was still for a moment, but he hears a car looking again. It was that man and woman again, not wanting them to see him, and in what he was holding. He pulled the girl closer and darted back into the woods towards his home. The rain was getting harder. It pelted them. It began to wash away her blood and dirt covering her. Jack could see his silhouette up ahead as he reached the front door. He quickly kicked it open and hurried in. The abandoned hospital. Though it was dark, calming in a way, it at least to him, the thunder cracked, and Jack walked upstairs, through the halls, and into his room. He laid her down on his bed. 2 hospital beds tied together. Before he took off his mask and hoodie, pulled his hood down, looming over her. She was peaceful. Her breath was calm. He frowned. His brow was furrowing and looking around like he found the place to find his supplies. They were still in good shape, the hospital being left alone forever. Bandages, equipment, hair drugs, and creams from different effects. He walked over to the supply closet and found bandages. Anything to take care of the wounds. Finding all he needed, he headed back and closed the closet door before heading back to the seat and sitting by her. Taking a wet night wipe, he disinfected and slowly cleaned off the blood and rubbed along her wounds. Throwing it aside, taking a cotton ball, he found several antibiotics on it before running it over the cut heavily to sterilize them. And next he used some ornate objects to do the same procedure before. And once he was done, he took the bandages and wrapped it around her. The damaged right limb, and then put some over the wounds. Seeing his work, he was taking what wasn't needed and chucked it back out the boarded window. Now, but having a better look, he feels a breeze blowing through, and then he noticed her scrunching up her face, as if it was in pain or something. Turning on her right side away from him, she began to curl up into a ball and shivering. Jack quickly grabbed the blankets and pulled it over her. She slowly calmed down, before once again relaxing. The male watched her and think on what to do. I'll just wait for her to wake up. Going to leave with his mask in his hands, but stop at the front of the door, thinking for a moment. Funny. I wanted to murder someone today, but instead I ended up saving someone. He peered back, a small smile edging on his face. Well, it looks like your luck finally ran out, Jackie. He leaves the room. And the girl slowly opened her eyes, remembering the earlier she groaned, rubbing her hand and glancing around the room. It looks like she was in a hospital room, which the lights were dim than a normal hospital, but this place looked a bit tattered. She slowly sat up and hissing as she goes to grab her arm, only to stop to notice the bandages. She blinked in surprise, feeling her head, feeling another piece. Did someone get me out? But where am I? She slowly stands on her feet and shivers as the wind blew in. Another notice aside that it was from a boarded window. Grabbing the blanket and wrapping it around her and sitting down, her body aching still bad. I'm guessing it is not a good idea to take the car. Oh, you're awake. She jumped and looked at the door in surprise. A male from what looks like it's standing there. A dark blue mask with black eyes covering his face. His black hoodie and jeans matching along with sneakers to fit him, as well as she noticed that his skin was gray, which was a cause for concern. She looked up at him again. Did you save me? He nods and walks over, sitting beside her. He faces her and holds out his left hand for her to shake. I found you in the car crash. I saw that you needed help. I'm Jack, by the way, but some of my friends call me Eyeless Jack. Not thinking much of it and noticing the mask, she seems that he is not very threatening. She slowly grins and gripping his hand and shook him. Hi, I'm Ellie.